The Krail thought they had captured primitive, soft-skinned females. They had no idea they had kidnapped five of the most dangerous things in the universe: human mothers, human scientists, human soldiers, human engineers, human teachers. Within days, the captors would be begging the galaxy for help, not from the humans, but from the women they kidnapped, because humans don't just fight, they adapt, they strategize, they conquer fear itself. And the Krail, they were about to learn what happens when you threaten the wrong women. For centuries, the galaxy whispered a warning about humanity. Whatever you do, do not provoke their women. Not because human women were dangerous, but because humans as a species were infamous for one thing: they do not let their own be taken. Ever. But the Krail Dominion didn't know that they took five human women from a remote colony world, and in doing so, they accidentally declared war on an entire species known for never backing down. This is how the galactic crisis of year 7920 began. The dawn on Taraxis, for was usually peaceful. A soft gold sunrise stretching across forests of silverleaf trees, the kind of quiet morning colonists treasured. Children were just waking. Farmers were prepping fields. The five women, who had never met before, were all in different corners of the settlement, living ordinary human lives. None of them sensed the shadow descending. High above the colony, a Krail Dominion dropship rippled into existence, uncloaking like a mirage turning solid. Its hull absorbed light, reflecting nothing. No sound, no warning, just a growing, suffocating darkness spreading across the sky. Then, flummed, a shimmering dome of energy exploded outward, a paralysis stasis net. Every human inside its radius froze mid-step. Birds dropped from the sky. Water stilled mid-fall. Children stood in place, eyes wide, unable to scream. The Krail moved through the frozen streets like shadows, tall, segmented, insectoid, their armor clicking softly as they scanned for their targets. They didn't want men. They didn't want soldiers. They wanted five specific women. Mira Hale, a mother of two, kneeling in her garden with dirt on her hands, frozen mid-breath. Two small children stood nearby, unable to move, tears suspended on their cheeks like glass beads that a Krail medic scanned Myra's genes. Optimal reproductive resilience. It hissed, a transport beam locked on her. Talia Brooks, the engineer. She had been repairing a water filter pipe, half inside a maintenance shaft. The Krail pulled her out like she was equipment. Cranial adaptation patterns high. Mechanically advantageous. Dr. Ava Run, the xenobiologist, was in her home lab, typing. Her screen displayed alien soil samples. Ironically, she had been studying Krail biology. Intellect genetically valuable, a drone announced. Sergeant Lena, cross-retired infantry. She lived on the settlement outskirts, doing morning combat conditioning. Even frozen, her expression looked like she was about to break someone's neck. The Krail hesitated. Warning, this one dangerous. One guard clicked. But orders were orders. Professor Sarah Lena, teacher. A historian. She stood in the community center, talking to her class about old Earth empires. The targeting laser swept across her. Psychological adaptability high. Potential educator cast use. 5 beams, .5 captures, .5 humans lifted into the dark belly of the ship. The last thing the colony saw was the dropship vanishing back into the clouds. Then the stasis dome collapsed. Children fell crying into their mother's arms. Men rushed to the square, shouting. The settlement alarms wailed loud enough to shake the mountains. Inside the ship, as it broke atmosphere, the Krail commander transmitted a single, careless message into open space. Human specimens secured. Preparing transport to Dominion Research Sector. It wasn't encrypted. IT wasn't hidden. 27 human orbital satellites heard it instantly. Relays activated. Alarms synced. A red banner alert shot across Earth, Luna, Mars, and every human network. A single name flashed across military command screens. Fallen Star. High-risk civilian extraction, even targets. 5 human women taken by foreign power. Earth hadn't used that protocol in over a century, because no alien species had been stupid enough to trigger it. Until now. This was the moment the galaxy would later call the 5 sparks that ignited the human storm. Here's Section 2 of your HFY story, fully expanded and cinematic. Section 2. The Planet of Chains. The Zareth ship hurtled through space for what felt like endless hours, a metallic ark carrying the 5 human women to a place they could not imagine. The planet they approached, Vorthin 6, was a hellish landscape of orange skies, churning storms, and jagged towers that scraped the clouds. Toxic winds howled across barren plains, and rivers of molten metal cut through deep canyons. The ship's bay doors opened, and the women were escorted, hands restrained by alien energy cuffs, to a containment dome in the planet's capital sector. The dome was massive, an alien cathedral of experimentation. Within it, the Zareth scientists had prepared the ultimate test of human biology. Nanite injectors glimmered along the walls, scanning and mapping every DNA strand. Machines hummed and glowed, feeding data into alien consoles. The Zareth whispered among themselves. Human adaptability far higher than expected, emotional resilience off the charts. The women understood their predicament clearly. This was not a research station. It was a prison. It was a weaponization lab. They were meant to be broken and rebuilt to serve alien purposes, but humans, and especially human women, had an unspoken strength. Emily leaned toward the others and whispered, "They think emotional strength is a weakness. Let's show them what it really is." They studied their surroundings. Every door, every guard rotation, every scanner. They memorized the hum of machinery, the rhythm of the lights, and the patterns of alien behavior. Nothing was too small to escape their notice. Sarah discovered she could manipulate the nanites with electromagnetic interference, causing them to misread biological signals. May, with a mind like a lockpick, began deciphering the dome's control encryption. Arya feigned compliance, all the while observing every access code, keycard, and command protocol. Anika turned medical examinations into reconnaissance missions, learning the layout of hidden corridors and maintenance tunnels. Emily silently coordinated the team, ensuring that each small discovery became part of a larger escape plan. Days passed. Nights passed. The aliens, confident in their superiority, never realized they were being studied in return. They thought they were observing humans. But humans were observing them, learning, calculating, and waiting for the right moment. The women formed a pact, unspoken but unbreakable. No one leaves alone. We escaped together, and deep within their hearts, a quiet fire burned. They knew the truth the Zareth could not understand. Humans do not bend. Humans do not surrender. Humans endure. And 5 determined women are unstoppable when they fight as one. The moment came suddenly, yet it had been brewing for days. Every detail had been mapped, every weak point cataloged, every guard's routine memorized. The 5 women had become ghosts inside the alien dome, invisible but always watching, always calculating. IT began with May. She tampered with the nanite drive using a stolen tool, sending a cascade of electrical interference throughout the containment systems. Red and blue lights flickered across the dome, the scanners glitching, alarms blinking in meaningless patterns. Sarah struck next. Using 2 capacitors she had smuggled from the laboratory, she triggered a localized EMP that shut down the nearest security grid. Doors clicked open. Sensors went dark. For 6 seconds, the world was theirs. They moved as one. Silent, precise, unstoppable. Humans are not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most technologically advanced, but give humans a purpose, and they become lethal. Emily led the charge, pushing forward with measured steps, eyes scanning every corner. Anika grabbed a loose restraint and swung it with surgical precision, knocking a guard unconscious. Arya disabled a hovering drone with a well-aimed throw of an alien tool. May hacked the lift panel with a mix of intuition and stubbornness, overriding alien security protocols. Sarah rerouted alarms so that the sound echoed in the wrong wings, sending reinforcements scrambling in the wrong direction. The corridors blurred into one long, chaotic path of controlled chaos. Every movement, every strike, every hack was perfectly synchronized, The Zareth soldiers realized too late what was happening. Voracht, the towering commander, roared into the comm system. Contain them. They cannot be allowed. Humans cannot. But the humans had already reached the vertical shafts, climbing the turbolifts and catwalks with unrelenting determination. Humans fight differently. They improvise. They endure. They adapt in ways the Zareth could never predict. By the time reinforcements arrived, the 5 women were inside the command spire, the central tower of Orthan Essex's alien authority. From above, they could see the sprawling complex, the alien labs, and the prisoners locked in stasis throughout the facility. Voracht's voice crackled with disbelief. How are they doing this? They are primitives. Emily's lips curled into a small, confident smile. Primitives? She thought. Primitives don't survive every trap, every scan, every attempt to break them. That we are humans. And humans do not break. The first move had been made, and the Zareth Empire was already losing. The Krail commander, Overseer Vrakoth, stared at the tactical display in horror. First, 1 human ship appeared on the edge of their sensors. Then 3, then 12, then the screen filled with signatures. Impossible, he whispered. No species mobilizes this fast. No species can. But humans weren't like other species. Their communications network, the old interplanetary chain called SkyhookNet, was built for catastrophes. In under 2 minutes, the entire network had propagated the emergency alert. Fallen Star Protocol. 5 human women taken, highest priority response. Every human ship in the region received it, and every human responded. The first wavy a dozen small cargo haulers entered real space first. Ugly, slow, outdated. The Krail tactical AI dismissed them as non-threat civilian craft until the haulers opened their cargo doors. Inside each one, aimed outward, were retrofitted plasma rail cannons. Massive mining equipment modified into weapons powerful enough to tear apart asteroids. The Krail ship rolled to avoid the opening volley. The haulers fired. Bright lances of molten light carved through the darkness, scraping the Krail shields down to half strength on the first hit. Civilian ships armed with mining artillery? Vrakoth screamed. His second-in-command trembled. Humans weaponize everything. The second human patrol craft and private security vessels dropped out of FTL next. These weren't warships. They were police cutters, escort corvettes, planetary guard units, but every single one had powered its weapons to full. They formed a wall, a blockade, a barrier that tightened like a noose. The human-civilian channels kept broadcasting on open frequencies. Return our people. Drop your shields. Stand down or be neutralized. The Krail commander hissed. They threaten us? With their farmers and miners and scientists. But the humans weren't done. The third wave, the hammer, a deep vibration rippled through space. Then it appeared at a ship so massive the Krail bridge fell silent. The UNS Goliath, the humanity's mobile defense fortress. Not a warship, a population ark refitted with every weapon humanity had ever invented. Because humans reused everything and wasted nothing. IT dwarfed the Krail cruiser by a factor of 10. Vrakoth staggered backward. No. Humans do not deploy the Goliath for civilians. Correction, his officer whispered with dread. Humans deploy the Goliath for any human. The Krail ship shook violently as its sensors locked onto the flagship's main cannon. A message from the Goliath's comms activated. A human voice, calm, controlled, filled the Dominion ship. This is Fleet Admiral Reyna Solari of the United Human Federation. You have taken 5 of our citizens. You will return them immediately. Vrakoth tried to respond. You misunderstand. They are biological. Release them. Or you will not survive the next 60 seconds. The bridge fell silent. The Krail commander swallowed, mandibles trembling. Send message. We surrender. But before he could finish, the Krail ship jolted. Internal alarms blared. The officer screamed, Commander! The human prisoners. They're taking control of the lower decks. Vrakoth froze. What do you mean? The officer pointed at the internal security feed. 5 human women. Unarmed, unarmored, outnumbered, were tearing through the ship's defenses like a tactical squad. Lena was leading the charge. Ava was disabling systems. Talia was ripping open panels. Mira was freeing captives. Sarah was overriding Dominion encryption codes in real time. "Commander," the officer whispered, "we have not been overrun by the human fleet. We are being overrun by the humans we already captured." The truth hit Vrokov like a blade. He wasn't facing humanity's armies. He was facing human civilians, and they were already winning. He turned to flee the bridge. Too late. The ship shook again. Not from weapons. Not from impact. But from something approaching, something every alien species feared but never talked about. The final wave, even dozens more signatures appeared. Hundreds that a wall of humanity. Not military. Not organized. Just everyone. Miners, pilots, diplomats, doctors, traders, retirees, students, families who owned ships, people who had nothing to do with war, but had everything to do with protecting their own. Species of the galaxy watching the broadcast saw something terrifying. Humans did not need an army to fight. Humanity itself was the army. Vrokov finally understood the message carved in every galactic treaty. Do not provoke humans, they will come. And they were here. On the lower decks, the 5 women stared at the radar feed they had accessed. Mira whispered, voice trembling. They really came. All of them. Talia stared in disbelief. Ava wiped tears. Sarah covered her mouth. Lena just smiled. That, she said, is what it means to be human. The ship tilted sharply. Gravity swayed sideways, throwing sparks across the walls. Talia Brooks steadied herself against a railing. They're trying to shake us off. A klaxon blared. Internal containment failure. Human prisoners have breached engineering. Lena grinned. Perfect. Let's go there next. But Ava held up a hand. No, we need information before we move. And we need to cut their control access. She points to a sealed door labeled in glowing green glyphs, that Dominion Biocore Vault. Authorized personnel only. Sarah's eyes widened. That's where they store species research. DNA archives. Biological keys. If we access it, we can find why we were taken and use that knowledge against them. Lena nodded. Then we break in. The biocore, the door hissed open after Sarah rewired the alien lock. The room inside glowed with blue orbs suspended in midair, each containing shimmering genetic data. Ava stepped forward slowly, and fury mixing on her face. Oh my God. They've collected DNA from dozens of species, some extinct. Mira shivered. This is why they took us. Sarah examined the central console. They need humans. Our genetic stability. Our adaptability. They want to engineer a new caste using human biology. Lena spit on the floor. They're using us like spare parts. Talia cracked her knuckles, grabbed a glowing tool from the wall, and said, let's break their entire plan. Sarah scanned the systems, her fingers flying over alien panels. They've been studying how humans handle trauma, disease, and adaptation. They think our genetics give us evolutionary shortcuts. Lena pointed at a pulsing orb labeled prime sample. Human female. Hail, Mira. Mira froze. Seeing her own name in alien code made her stomach twist. Ava's voice hardened. We delete their research, that we free every captive on this ship, and we shut down their control over the engines. Sarah added, and we reroute the ship's distress beacon. We broadcast their crimes. Talia smirked. On it. Working together, they plunged the vault into chaos. Talia ripped out power conduits. Sparks exploded. Ava wiped every genetic file. The orbs flickered, then collapsed into dust. Sarah forced the beacon to broadcast shipwide. Attention! The Krail Dominion has committed biogenetic crimes against humanity and other species. All prisoners, this is your moment. Rise. Across the ship, cells began opening. Roars, shouts, clattering feet. Everyone, every species started fighting back. The KREL on the bridge, Commander Vrokov watched the chaos spread through the ship. Shut down the prisoners. Activate emergency gas. Seal the bio vault. His crew frantically scrambled, but every system failed. Humans were everywhere. Not soldiers. Not warriors. Just people who refused to break. He turned his officer. Where are the females now? The officer's mandibles shook. That they destroyed our genetic archive. Destroyed. Vrakoth screamed. Worse, the officer whispered. They seem to be leading the prisoners. Leading? They are untrained, primitive. The ship shook violently, a deep metal groan ripping through every deck. What was that? The officer stared at his trembling display. They reached engineering. Engineering. The heart of the beast to the engine room was a cathedral of humming power coils and glowing conduits. The hum vibrated through their skin. Talia stepped forward. Her entire face lit up with the joy of a true engineer. Oh, I can absolutely break this. Ava nodded at the swirling core. They're powering a grav warp field. If we invert the polarity, we can stall the whole ship, Sarah finished. Lena turned to Mira. You stay behind us. You cover our exit. Mira tightened her grip on the plasma baton she'd taken earlier. No, I help. We all do. Lena smiled. Good answer. The last Iphisicrael soldiers stormed the room. Dozens of them. Massive. Armored. Weapons drawn. Myra's heart raced. Sarah swallowed hard. Ava exhaled shakily. Talia grabbed a metal rod. Ready or not. Lena stepped forward like she'd been waiting for this moment. The Krail commander's voice echoed through the chamber. Humans, you cannot escape. That this ship will not fall to 5 females. Lena smirked. Buddy, she lifted a stolen Krail rifle. Your ship already fell. The battle exploded. Talia hurled a sparking energy coil like a grenade. Ava disabled 2 guards with precision strikes. Sarah used the console to drop the deck into low gravity, sending the Krail floating helplessly. Mira struck one across the head with her baton, defending Lena from behind. Lena moved like a thunderstorm. Every strike deliberate. Every motion deadly. Every breath sharp. The Krail fell, one after another. The last one fled. The ship's Talia reached the engine control column. You guys might want to brace. She slammed her tool deep into the primary conduit. The ship screamed. Power flickered. Engine sputtered. The grav warp snapped like a bone. From outside, the massive Krail cruiser suddenly sputtered, spun, and stalled, drifting helplessly amid the human blockade. Mira looked around the engine room. We actually did it. Ava smiled softly. Sarah breathed out in relief. Lena wiped blood from her cheek. No, this was just the start. The Krail cruiser drifted, powerless, engines dead, alarms shrieking through every deck. Inside engineering, the women caught their breath as emergency lights strobed red. Sarah checked the console. We've shut them down, but we haven't won yet. Ava nodded. The Dominion fleet is already on the way. Myra's stomach dropped. How many? Before anyone could answer, a deep tremor shuddered through the hull. The view screen lit up automatically. 20 Krail warships had arrived. Not patrol ships, not raiders. Warships built for extermination. The Nuva on the bridge of the lead Krail destroyer, Admiral Court H glared at the floating image of the disabled cruiser. Overseer Vrakoth has failed us, she hissed. Prepare the incineration cannons. Her lieutenant hesitated. But Admiral, there are over 300 Krail aboard that ship, and 5 humans, Court snapped. Those humans have caused the Dominion its greatest humiliation in a century. That we burn the ship. A silence fell. Fire when ready. Humanity is outside. The human fleet watched. Cargo ships, police cutters, civilian freighters, the Goliath. Every human pilot saw the incoming destroyers. Every human knew exactly what was about to happen. The comms exploded with voices. Protect the Goliath. Hold the line. They're going to fire. Don't let them reach the captured ship. If those women die, we all go to war. Admiral Reyna Solari's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Humanity will not allow it. She stepped forward on the command deck. Arm the Goliath's main cannon. Full power. Target the lead destroyer. Her tactical officer swallowed. That will start a war with the Dominion. A real war. Reyna stared at the incoming ships. They started it. Inside the KRAL, so the women saw the destroyers on Sarah's hacked feed. Myra's breath caught. They're going to kill us. Sarah shook her head. No, they're going to kill everyone on this ship, even their own. Lena clenched her jaw. Typical cowards. Can't win, so they wiped the board. Ava pulled out a stolen Krail datapad. Fingers rapid. We need to get to the bridge. If we can broadcast proof of their crimes to the entire Dominion fleet, maybe we can stop the attack. Talia grabbed her tools, then move. We don't have time. The the hallway shook as the Krail destroyers charged their cannons, the dum-dum-dum, the heavy pulse, the deep vibration. Lena sprinted, leading the group through corridors lit in red. Alien soldiers tried to intercept, but the prisoners they had freed earlier surged from the cells and tackled them. A reptilian prisoner saluted Lena as they passed. "We follow the humans." Lena shouted back. "Then stay alive." They reached the lift, but the entire shaft was blown out from earlier explosions. Talia peered inside. "Jump?" Sarah paled. "It's a 30-meter drop." Lena didn't hesitate. "We climb." Using exposed pipes and broken beams, the 5 women scaled the shaft with shaking arms and burning muscles. Mira slipped once. Lena caught her wrist instantly. "Don't look down." "Already did," Mira gasped. "Then definitely don't do it again." They reached the top as the whole cruiser trembled again. Ava checked the datapad. 15 seconds until the destroyer fires. The bridge doors opened. Overseer Vrakoth turned sharply, terrified, mandibles quivering. You 5 have doomed us all." Lena strode forward. "You did that. We're just the reminder." He raised a plasma staff. Lena smashed it aside. Sarah pushed past him and accessed the main console. "We need proof," she muttered. "We need every Dominion ship to see the experiments, the DNA vault, the abductions, everything they're hiding." Ava activated the recorder. Talia linked it to the ship's broadcast array. Mira hit the final command. A transmission sent 2 all nearby ships. Across space, Dominion ships froze mid-charge as images flooded their screens. Humans and Cell's genetic theft children on the list of future samples. The entire human rescue fleet outside, civilians fighting back inside the cruiser. The Krail's plan to harvest human genetics for a new supercast on the Krail destroyer bridge. Officers gasped. This is forbidden. Research. We could be tried for treason if we fire now." These women exposed everything. Admiral Cora Th snarled, shaking with fury. "Fire, anyway." "I said fire." Humanity returns effort on the Goliath. Admiral Solari stood tall, destroyer charging its incineration cannon. Her weapons officer looked at her. "Permission to fire." She nodded once. Permission granted. A brilliant column of white light erupted from the Goliath's forward cannon. It hit the lead Krail destroyer before their own cannon could discharge, and split the ship in half. Silence fell across the battlefield. Then chaos. Krail ships scrambled. Human ships advanced. The disabled cruiser drifted between 2 great armies. Inside the bridge, the women watched the explosion. Mira whispered, "What now?" Lena looked at the screen as more Krail ships reoriented for attack. "Now," she said, raising a stolen rifle. "We get everyone off this ship before the real war begins." The 5 human women stood together on the Krail High Citadel's Grand War balcony, flanked by shattered banners and smoking towers. Behind them, millions of Krail soldiers knelt in total silence. Before them, hovering battlecams streamed the scene live across 12 galactic sectors, reaching worlds that had never dared even whisper against the Dominion. But now, the Dominion had fallen. Not to an empire, not to a fleet, not to a superweapon. To 5 human women who refused to break, and to the unstoppable species that came for them. The skies still glowed from the final bombardment barrage. Broken Krail warships fell like burning stars. The thunder of human drop pods echoed across the plains. General Reyes stepped forward beside the women, armor still glowing red from heat. Cameras rolling, his calm officer whispered. Reyes nodded. Ava, Talia, Mira, Lena, and Sarah exchanged looks. Not of fear, but of steel. They had started this without choice, but they would end it on their terms. The speech that in no alien ever. Ava stepped to the front first. Wounds on her face, fire in her eyes. "You try to cage us," she said, voice steady. "You thought humans were weak. You thought taking 5 of us was nothing." The Krail trembled. "Today," she continued, "you learned what every species in the galaxy must now understand." Lena stepped forward, shoulders squared like a war god. "Humans don't abandon their own." Talia raised a shattered memory core they had stolen from the Dominion labs. "You kidnapped us to study us," she said. "So here's your final scientific result." Mira slammed the core onto the marble floor. Tea shattered like glass. "We don't break." The Krail watching across millions of worlds shivered. Sarah stepped forward last, blood-stained, exhausted, unbowed, a teacher, a historian. Now the face of a new galactic order. "Let this be written into your archives," she said quietly, "but write it in fear." She pointed at the sky, where human battleships still descended like storm clouds. "You took 5 women." She raised her voice, thundering through the citadel. "And you triggered a human response you could never control." The Krail overmined, surrounded by armored human marines and trembling scientists, crawled forward on cracked limbs. "We surrender," it choked. Lena almost laughed. Mira almost cried. Ava stepped back, shaken. Reyes approached the alien leader. He did not shout, he did not threaten. He simply said, "Good." Because if even one human anywhere in this galaxy goes missing again, he gestured to the ruins. "This will be the least of what we do." Every Krail present lowered their heads. Every alien species watching from afar replayed the message again and again in terror. The return, 8 days later, the 5 women stood on the boarding ramp of a human evac frigate. Soldiers saluted them. Civilians cheered them. Journalists called them the 5 Sparks. Children called them heroes, but they didn't feel like heroes. They just felt human. Mira hugged her kids the moment she arrived home, crying into their hair. Talia returned to her workshop, determined to never let another human system be vulnerable again. Ava was recruited into a new division, Galactic Human Threat Analysis Command. Lena was reinstated into the military with a rank reserved for legends. Sarah began writing the official history of the crisis. But before they all parted ways, they met. One last time on the observation deck, the stars glimmered outside like cold diamonds. "You think the galaxy learned its lesson?" Talia asked softly. Lena shrugged. "If they didn't," Sarah smiled, half sad, half proud, "they will." Ava placed her hand on the glass, watching distant lights flicker. "Humans don't start wars," she said, "but we finish them." The 5 women stood together one last time. Survivors, symbols, warnings, and somewhere far across the void, alien powers shivered at the name of their species, because humanity had spoken and the galaxy was listening.